You will be successful. Are you sure that's what you want?
It's no small task rebooting The Twilight Zone. Yes, it's been attempted before to varying degrees of success, but unlike many other pop culture classics that have been retooled over the years with new actors, new writers, new characters, and all the rest, efforts to relaunch The Twilight Zone have always lacked one key ingredient: the original show's creator and host, Rod Serling.
The Twilight Zone.
So intrinsically tied to the show was Serling that other programs bearing the Twilight Zone name have never quite felt authentic, even when they were good productions in their own right. All of which leads to the question, does CBS All Access's new Twilight Zone work? The answer, so far at least based on the first 2 episodes, is yes, somehow it does.
The Twilight Zone.
Jordan Peele has stepped in for Serling as an executive producer and the new host of this Twilight Zone, and there's something about his presence, a certain knowing twinkle in his eye that goes perfectly with his well-pressed suit and quickly growing resume of big screen horror street cred. Add to that some talented and recognizable faces in front of the camera and a pair of tales that feel appropriately Serling-esque, but with a 21st century spin, and this new Twilight Zone is off to a great start.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
The first episode is called The Comedian, which, perhaps not coincidentally, was also the name of one of Serling's Emmy-winning teleplays pre-Twilight Zone. Kumail Nanjiani stars as the comic of the title whose jokes about the Second Amendment are getting him nowhere fast, until he meets Tracy Morgan's famous and mysterious comedian who gives him some advice. In order to succeed, he has to truly put himself out there on stage. His humor needs to be personal to him, whether it's about his dog, his coworkers, his girlfriend, or some other aspect of his life. Taking up this suggestion, Nanjiani's character not surprisingly starts to get the laughs he so desires, but of course, there's a price, as he realizes that reality is reshaping itself around him with each successive comedy set that he performs. Soon enough, that classic Twilight Zone feeling kicks in as the comedian and the viewer ponders just how far he might go in order to become a sensation. Who doesn't want to go viral after all?
Past is the past, and that will help me get through the now.
The second segment, dropping as part of the premiere, is Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, a story ported over from one of the most famous original episodes. Adam Scott stars as a passenger boarding a flight with a ton of baggage, of the emotional kind. He's a journalist who has, for lack of a better term, seen some shit. Not unlike William Shatner's character in the original episode Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, this is a troubled guy who is about to be put to the ultimate test. The new iteration of the story deviates sharply from the original beyond that setup, however, with Scott's character stumbling upon a serial-like podcast that seems to be retracing the final hours and minutes of Flight 1015, which is the very flight that he's on. And while rubber-masked Gremlin fans might be disappointed by the episode's divergence from the source material, 30,000 Feet hits many of the same beats as the Shatner story, as Scott's character finds that pretty much no one will believe his claims that they're all in grave danger. Alas, as Flight 1015 careens towards its inevitable fate, the episode crashes and burns with a head-scratching final scene that really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Fact is, the original Zone didn't always stick the landing either. But based on these 2 episodes, Jordan Peele and his team have found that Serling groove that has so often eluded reboots of the show in the past. This new Twilight Zone knows how to be creepy, funny, and socially relevant, and it's found the perfect host. For more on what's streaming, be sure to check out what new anime is coming to Netflix in 2019, or watch our review of Amazon's new series, Hannah. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.